What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Open Stride Podcast. This is another segment of our NFL preview. So we're going to break it down game by game, team by team, division by division. And the division that we're breaking down today, just like all the other divisions we've done before this, is going to be the NFC West, the Wild Wild West, the toughest division in the whole NFL, in my humble opinion. And today to break that division down with me is no other than Devin Ashby, man. The one, the only, the great author, podcaster, journalist, everything, man. Give that man his flowers today before it's too late. Breaking that division down with me, man. How you doing today, Devin?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just in here holding it down, got my book, got my own little podcast. I'm doing just a lot of projects at once.
I feel that, man. I feel that. So you just trying to, we all just trying to make it in this crazy media world out here, man. We all just trying to make it. So shout out to you, man. Shout out to both of us. We're out here staying consistent by dropping episodes. And everybody out there that don't know, let them know what's the name of your podcast and where they can find you.
All right. So my podcast is called The Play-by-Play Analysis. It's a sports, music, culture, just all the above. I'm trying to overhaul it and start doing almost weekly or at least bi-weekly podcasts, but I'm on Google Play Podcasts, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, I'm there.
And my man has 100. He reached the 100 mark. So that's hard work, consistency. That's what you love. He reached the 100 mark of 100 episodes. You got to love that. So, yeah, man, we're going to jump right into the episode. Like I said, we're breaking down the NFC West. And how we're going to do this, just like the other episodes, is I'm going to go from the worst to the best team. So the worst to the best team, giving you their record on how I think they will finish, talking about any off-season moves they made, who they draft, and so on. So we're going to talk about it just like that. And Devin's gonna talk about what he feel about what I said and go from there. So y'all not new to this, y'all true to this. Y'all know what we doing. So yeah, so like I said, this is the toughest division in the whole NFL, in my opinion. The team I feel like is going to finish last, though, is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I got them going 9-8. They finished 6-10 last season. Everybody know this is going to be the season where they add the extra game. So I got them going 9-8, finishing right above 500. Big moves they made. Of course, the biggest is that they brought in Trey Lance as the new quarterback or the future for the team. So we're going to see how that goes with him. They still have Jimmy G under contract, but this may be Jimmy G's last year. So it may be kind of like an Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre thing. A little bit more faster, though, because Aaron kind of sat on the pine for about 3 or 4 years before he took over for Brett. So Trey may end up starting this season, depending on how it goes with Jimmy, because Jimmy is known to get to suffer some kind of injury throughout the season that Stephen A. called him porn star Jimmy. So he's known to suffer some kind of injury. They have an amazing offensive line, though. Amazing offensive line. And we're going to see how that goes. They drafted another offensive lineman in the second round, Aaron Banks. So we're going to see if he can improve that good offensive line they already have. I believe this may be Jimmy's last year. They have a decent amount of offensive weapons. The biggest and most best offensive line offensive player they have is, of course, George Kittle. He's coming off an injury, so he's coming back this season. So we're going to see how it goes with him. And we just go from there, man. Of course, they still have Nick Bosa. He's coming back as well. One of the best pass rushers in the NFL, defensive player overall in the NFL. And ESPN recently dropped their top 10 pass rushers in the NFL. And Nick Bosa was able to crack that top 10 right below his brother at number 9. So we're going to definitely see how it goes for the 49ers overall. Before I just go into it anymore, I just want to say I'm going to give Devin a chance to talk about it. And I just want to say Pro Football Focus has their roster ranked 11th going into the season. So they have their 11th ranked roster. going into the season, and we're just going to see how it goes. So, Devin, what you think about the San Francisco 49ers and why I have them as finishing last in the division and finishing at 9-8?
Actually, I agree. I have them finishing 9-8, maybe even 8-9, depending on some things. But I think that the pressure is on Jimmy. I don't care what Kyle Shanahan said about, oh, there's no competition. Um, in today's NFL, like if this were maybe 5, 10 years ago, where people actually gave rookies a chance to sit and learn, I kind of would buy it. But when you trade up to get the third round pick in today's NFL, that dude will at least see the field this year, if not be a full time starter. And I think that Jimmy in the last couple of years, the main thing with him is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout his career, even going back to his New England days. I think he ended up getting hurt when he was there. So he's a dude that hasn't. I think the one time he played a full 16 game season might have been that Super Bowl year, and I don't even think he did it that year. I think he missed like a game or two that year too. So health has been an issue for him. He's not been the prettiest player in terms of statistics. Like he's a guy that his games are very like blah. Like it's not, and not that you necessarily need to be Patrick Mahomes out there, but like dude just isn't a guy that's gonna come out here and like if they get in a shootout, you better hope that defense can hold up, which generally it can, but there are gonna be days in the NFL where you gotta duke yours and do what you gotta do. And I don't know if he's always been able to be a guy that can do that. So, and obviously coming up short in that Super Bowl, overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders, that could have sealed the deal, and then blowing a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. These are all things that stick in the back of Kyle Shanahan's mind, the back of 49ers teammates, the back of 49er fans, so that's something. And he's costing them a lot of money. So like you kind of are stuck with him. You can't really trade him unless you find like a team that's just really feels like they're a quarterback away. But yeah, I think that Jimmy's days are numbered. But I think there's more than just him though. I think that team in general, you got question marks in the secondary. Richard Sherman, we don't know what's going to happen with him, whether he comes back or not. We don't know what's going to happen considering his off the field issues that he's been dealing with this offseason. Nick Bosa is coming off of a serious injury, so we don't know what version of him we're going to get this year. The D line probably isn't going to be as strong as it's been in the past because they've traded some guys away. You got a couple of players coming off major injuries. The team was just so beat up last year. So it's a lot of people coming back from some serious stuff. So you wonder just as a whole what they're going to look like in a division that we've said is easily one of the toughest in football. Probably the toughest depending on who you ask. So it's just I think they're just up against too much, and I think it's going to cost them, and it's going to be some games mainly within the division that I think they're going to lose. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I agree. I agree. And to talk about Nick Bosa, do you feel like where they have him, where ESPN has him at top 10 pass rushers, do you think that's good for him? Like the position where they have him at?
I think it is, but like I said, I'm not sure where he'll be health wise in terms of coming off of what was like an ACL or something that he tore last year. That's like a very serious injury, and his game is very big on like explosiveness and stuff. So you just wonder how that's going to hold up. And not to say that, I mean, he's a young guy, so it's not to say that he can't come back from it. But I definitely think he's a top 10 pass rusher
Yeah.
as long as he's healthy. I definitely think he can be that guy.
Yeah. The list I seen in Madden released their top pass rushers were Madden for the 2022 season that's coming out. And they had Myles Garrett, number 1, Khalil Mack, TJ Watt, Chandler Jones, JJ Watt, which I was surprised that JJ was still that high, especially to be top 5. Cameron Jordan, Von Miller. I was kind of surprised Von was still that high. Then they had Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, and Zadarius Smith. So that's their
Some of
list.
those guys, Some of those guys are up there because of reputation alone. I'm gonna just say it, and there's no shade to them, but it's some of those guys that are in like the twilight zone of their career, and they just up there off reputation. Did you
Yeah, I
say
mean,
Aaron Donald? I don't know if I heard you say that.
no, they don't have him as an edge rusher. You know, he's an interior rusher. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So these are just edge rushers.
gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, Aaron Donald would definitely be number one. But yeah, but I mean, Madden also released their list for top tight ends. I was talking about Greg Kittle. They have him as the second best tight end right now. They have Travis Kelce above him right now, and they got Greg Kittle, George Kittle. I keep saying George Kittle, second, and they got Waddle, of course. He's a bad man. They got Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry that went to New England, Austin Hooper, Rob Gronkowski. I thought he was a bit high. Mike from Miami, TJ from Lions. I thought he was a bit high. He's showing flashes, but he's not that good. Honestly, the thing about the tight end position, it's not the strongest position. So that's why some players you would think, dang, they got him that high. But it's like, well, who else can you put there? So it's like, so once you fall out to like that top 4 or 5, it's like you really never know who you can go up there. Like, of course you go put Travis and George and Waddle and Mark are top 4, but after that, it's really just up in the air. So you can't really make too much out of the tight end position because it's kind of weak in a sense as depth. So.
Who did you say was number 3? Who is it number 3?
From Las Vegas Raiders, Darren Water, ain't it?
Oh, Darren. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot his name. My fault.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm surprised Zach Ertz isn't on that list. I mean, granted he didn't have the greatest year last year, but he's at least he's been up there statistically
Yeah,
for a
we're gonna
number of
see how
years.
he
I'm kind of
does.
surprised.
But yeah, man. So that's what we pretty much both agree on the 49ers. You think it's a pretty good chance that Trey's gonna start this year, though, right? Like you were saying, like
Yeah, he'll if they so it always seems to play out like this. I could see it going a couple of ways. I could see it going the way Miami did Tua, where you saw with Tua where he would come in even when they were winning, and he would play some games, but he was just up and down, and it kind of jacked him up last year. I could see them doing something like that, but I don't know if Shanahan would do that because that could cost him his job if he does that. So I don't know if they would go that route. But if they lose too many games and they find themselves either out of playoff contention or as good as dead, he gonna get on the field. I can see him getting on the field in some packages too. Like if they run some type of wildcat read option stuff, like they're gonna find ways to use him, I think. And then so yeah, he's not gonna be sitting on the bench that much this year.
my perfect scenario for them. Then we're gonna move on to the next team. But my perfect scenario for them is if Jimmy G stays healthy the whole season, leads them to the playoffs, then lose early in the playoffs, then they can move him for some draft picks. Kind of like how y'all picked up Alex Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. Like he played the whole season, played healthy, led them to the playoffs, lost in the playoffs, and they traded him, and they was able to move on with Patrick Mahomes. That would be my perfect scenario for them. Jimmy playoff season, have a good season, lead them to a playoff. They move him, and they move on from him with some draft picks, and then they move on with Trey Lance, like kind of like the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. That would be my perfect scenario for them. Not right now. I don't even have them make them playoffs, but I do have them finishing above 500. So we're going to see how that goes. But just to move on to the second team, I have them making the playoffs. I don't think it's gonna. It may surprise people that I have them making the playoffs, but it's not going to surprise people that they're third in that conference. And that's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, man. They finished 8-8 last year, so they finished 8-8 last year. I got them finishing 10-7 this year, and I actually have them making the playoffs. Kyler Murray's coming into another year. I know last year he came out to a high start, and people were saying he was MVP. And I definitely was like, he's not MVP. Like as much as y'all want him to be, he's not MVP. But he's coming into another year. They brought in a new running back. They brought in James Conner from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're gonna see how he does. Where Isaiah Simmons, where he have a breakout year. His rookie season wasn't that good, so he's going to go into a sophomore year and see how he does as the first overall pick for them, and just go from there, man. Pro Football Focus has their roster ranked 21st overall in the whole NFL coming into the season, so that's not horrible, but it's good. I mean, you would think like I just said the 49ers have a better roster overall, but I think Arizona roster is kind of slept on about how good they really are. They have, of course, they bought in JJ, and they got D Hop. You might as well call them the Arizona Texans because they taking all our best players. They might as well take Deshaun next and send us Kyler Murray. But yeah, man, they bought in AJ Green to be that number 2 wide receiver opposite of D Hop. So we're gonna see how much AJ Green has left in the tank. He's an older receiver now. As far as NFL wise, he's like 32, 30, 31, 32. So we're gonna see how much he has left in the tank. Secondary is pretty weak overall, and that's why Isaiah Simmons comes in hand. He doesn't play cornerback, but he does play strong safety, and he dropped down to play middle linebacker at times. But their secondary is pretty weak. They finally moved on from Patrick Peterson, or he moved on from them by going to the Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to definitely see how they go this year. I feel like their schedule is not that bad. It's not a tough schedule overall. They have the 13 ranked toughest schedule in the NFL. So that's like it's inching towards the top 10, but it's not too tough. They open up against Tennessee on the road, then they play Minnesota, then they get kind of some easy game. I would say against the Jags, but then they go on the road against the Rams, and they go play San Francisco in the division. They go on the road against Cleveland. So the early part of that season is the toughest part. But when they get down towards the end, it kind of gets a little more easier. But they do have a tough schedule overall. Like I said, it's not horribly tough, but it's not the easiest, I would say. So just Devin, what you think about the Arizona Cardinals overall? Do you think they can make the playoffs, or you think that's a far-fetched dream for me?
Actually, I got them finishing second and Seattle finishing third. I think that them and Seattle gonna have identical 10-7 records. I know I'm skipping a little bit, but I think that they can make the playoffs as like one of the last season. I think they do take that step forward, but I do think that it's going to be a work in progress on that defense because you got this new draft pick that you're going to try to work in here. Um, we don't know what that defense is going to look like because now I don't know if I mean, it's, Chandler Jones had requested a trade. Everybody was thinking they were just going to have this powerful pass rush with him and JJ and whoever else up there. But we don't know what could happen with that. Um, then the secondary, like we said, is weak because Pat P is gone. You have Buda Baker back there, but we don't know what Isaiah Simmons is going to look like in year 2. We don't know what the cornerback position looks like as a whole for the most part. So it's just a lot of question marks on that defensive side of the ball. And in that division, that's just something I don't think you can afford to have, with these offenses that are in that division. So that could be a question mark. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury has ever really cared much about defense. I mean, going back to his Texas Tech days. Like, so that's something that, if you're an Arizona fan or if you're an NFC West person, that's something you got to watch is that defensive side. But offensively, they got it. They got enough on offense that maybe they just gonna have to outscore everybody because you got Kyler, who was a former rookie of the year, a guy that people thought was gonna take a step forward last year and just didn't really take that step forward like we thought. You got DeAndre Hopkins, who's probably the best receiver in the NFL. You've got AJ Green, which is a more than complimentary number 2. At this point, I think they should prepare for life after Larry Fitz, even though it's still up in the air whether he comes back. But I think they should prepare to move on from him. So you got AJ, you have DeAndre, you got Christian Kirk, you drafted this dude Rondale Moore from Purdue, who even though he's like your scat back, he's a guy you can use as running back. You could use him in the slot. He's got the quickness and toughness to do a little bit of everything, a Swiss Army knife, if you will. So at this point, Arizona gonna have to outscore everybody, but I do think they're gonna do just enough and probably sneak into the playoffs.
Wow. So with them finishing, let's say, okay, in your opinion, you think it's one of the toughest divisions. So with them finishing second in the division, in your opinion, do you think that Kyler should be in the MVP conversation if he carries that team to second in that division?
That's tough. No, but it depends on what his numbers look like. Like if he lights it up like he did as a rookie, then yeah, they're gonna naturally put him in there because he's a quarterback. But if he has an up and down year and they have an up and down year as a whole, and if that offense don't hit the ground running immediately, like if they don't come out the gate looking like the '99 Rams or something, then that's where you could have some issues. I think like they got enough firepower that he could be in the conversation. But if they don't like light it up and just if they shock everybody unless they finish first, then absolutely. But if they finish second and it's uninspiring, then no.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Rondale Moore was a great thing that you brought up. He's like he was that guy that kind of turned heads at the combine because he was such an undersized wide receiver, but his measurables were like out this world. Like his vertical, his broad jump, and all it was just like he was like a compound wide receiver, but he was like full of all kind of athletic gifts. So we're gonna see how it goes with him when he's gonna be out there with AJ, with D Hop, and D Hop, like you said, one of the best. I say, in my opinion, D Hop is the best. Yeah, yes, D Hop is just overall the best wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. Like by some, like better than. I mean, we talking about rankings that were released today. We might as well talk about the wide receivers that was released today as well, because Madden released theirs as well for the wide receiver, and it's just like a lot of people had stuff to say about it, a lot of people didn't. But in my opinion, why I don't think it was Madden that released. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was Madden. Okay, yeah, Madden. They did. They had Devontae Adams #1 overall. They had D Hop #2, Tyreek Hill #3, Stephon Diggs 4th, Julio 5, Michael Thomas 6, Keenan Allen 7th, Amari Cooper, which I thought was kind of surprising, 8th, Mike Evans at 9, and Allen Robinson at #10. And I thought Allen Robinson #10 was kind of surprising too. But yeah, that's who they thought were the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. So they got D Hop second, right behind Adams. Can't be mad at that. Adams had a crazy year, but I still would take D Hop over anybody right now. As much as I love to watch Tyreek, I would not want him to be my #1 receiver. Just my opinion. I'm just not a fan of the smaller receivers, man. I'm just not a fan of them, man. Just overall, I'm just not a fan of them. As much of a show they can put on, I just would like the big, long receivers. That's just what I would like. Well, Tyreek is amazing talent, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I can't take nothing from him. And for him to be this high on this list at his size over all these guys that are all like 6 feet and taller, shows you how good he is. So, but yeah, what you think about that list overall? Like, you think it's pretty okay, or do you think somebody's missing that should be on? Like players like AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, like players like that got left off. If you do take them off, if you do put them on, who would you take off? Would you take off Allen Robinson, Mike Evans, or Amari Cooper? Like, would you take them off, or Keenan Allen? Like, or do you think it's
I would
perfect?
definitely would take Amari Cooper off. Just because he hasn't been that dude for like at least 2 years now. Like he's just been too up and down. And I would replace him with AJ Brown. So I'd put AJ Brown on there. But Tyreek, I think, like to your point, that's my guy. The only thing that really would neutralize him is if you had a quarterback without the arm strength that Pat Mahomes has. That dude can just throw it out the stadium. So there is just no stopping a dude with that speed combined with a quarterback with that kind of an arm. So and he's just consistently been wide open. Like everybody knows what's coming and still can't cover him until the Bucks did in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think that list was cool. I'd take D Hop over Devontae Adams only because he's just a little more like Devontae is consistent. That boy's feet are ridiculous, but D Hop is just special. That's just a once in a generation talent that you just don't get every year. Like he just be making these. His hands are crazy. Like he just doesn't drop balls. And considering all the quarterbacks that he's had to play with, and for him to consistently be putting these numbers up year in and year out, like Devontae has been blessed with Aaron Rodgers for the majority of his career, or actually no, the entirety of his career. Like D Hop, the best quarterback he's had has probably been was Deshaun Watson, and now Kyler Murray. Before that, he was getting passes from Brock Osweiler and Brandon Whedon and Ryan Fitzpatrick and just all kind of different names,
T.J.
and was
Yates,
still T.J.
so
Yates, and was still lighting people up. You know,
horrible, man, horrible. As a native, as your native Open Stride Texans fan, it has been horrible what they put my man Hopkins through. So when he
mm-hmm.
left and got traded, I was mad because we lost him, but I was happy for him. So I'm still happy for you, D Hop. I mean, you still got a fan in me. I don't care who you play for. You can play for the Patriots, and I don't know about you for you. I can't. I don't know about
Well,
that.
now because Cam is there.
Yeah.
As
Cam
of
Cam kind of changed my opinion on the Patriots, but that's another story for
yeah.
another day. All right, so we got two teams off the list, so we're going to go to the third team. We got finishing second in the NFC West, and Divine kind of revealed who he got his. He got his Arizona and Seahawks. So mine is the opposite. I got Seahawks in Arizona. I got them, but the thing is, I got them both finishing with the same record. So I just got Seahawks winning the tiebreaker against them. That's the only thing. So I got them finishing with the same record. I got them finishing 10-7 as well. They went 12-4 last year. I got them falling back a little bit. Division got a little bit tougher. And as far as Arizona getting a little bit better, and the Rams getting better, and the 49ers getting them a quarterback. So division got a bit tougher. Their schedule overall is a bit tougher. They got the 11th ranked toughest schedule in the NFL, and the Pro Football Focus ranks their roster 15th overall. So, and at the whole division, not the Rams. I'm sorry. I mean, it is the Rams. I'm my mistake. The Rams have the best roster overall. If you just go based off Pro Football Focus based on last year, the Rams had the best roster. Then after that, it's the 49ers. Then after that, it's the Seahawks. But I feel like the Seahawks will finish second in the division. They're just going to win the tiebreak against the Arizona, which is going to get them over them. And I got them making the playoffs as well. Biggest questions with them is what they had that brief scare with Russ over the summer about him wanting to get traded. Then when he got asked about it, he was just like, I never asked for a trade. I don't know what y'all talking about. It was like, well, who asked for a trade then, Russ? Like, who did it? Because it was reports that you wanted a trade. He was like, oh, no, go Hawks. So but somebody asked for a trade. But I guess he got what he wanted, and now he's back happy with the team. Everybody was saying that Sierra wants to move out of Seattle. She's trying to live in there, and she wants to move to New York. So that was the rumors going around. So we're gonna see how it goes. And that rumor been around for like 2 years now. So it's starting to pick up a lot of smoke. And so I'm thinking we're gonna see fire soon. But they got Jamar Adams back, and that's if they get the contract situation with him, and he has to decide: do you want to play linebacker or do you want to play strong safety? I know they got you kind of like a box safety, which is kind of like a linebacker and a safety, but man, I think you may have to make that full switch to linebacker, man. At this point, they got a dynamic duo at wide receiver in DJ Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't that sold on DJ Metcalf when he came out the draft. I thought he was just a freak athlete, one of those freak athletes that come out of college, but overall he won't be that productive in the NFL. And he proved me wrong 100%, and I can stand on that. But their schedule is a bit tough. That's why I really got them losing the amount of games that they lost as far as 7. Cause they open up against the Colts on the road, then they got to go to Tennessee, then they got to go on the road twice back to back to Vikings and the 49ers. Then once they get back from doing that, they got to play the Rams at home, then go back on the road and play the Steelers. Then after they come back from playing the Steelers, they play the Saints. So literally every team they play in the first 7 weeks, almost going into mid season, is a potential playoff team. That's tough to start out, man. That's tough to start out, in my opinion, for any team. So that's gonna be tough for them. We're gonna see how they can persevere through that and see if they can get some wins. I'm pretty much going into their bye week. It's week 9, and that's midweek for them. I have them losing 3 games off the dump right there. So, and I got them losing the rest 4 games to finish the season. No, I got them losing 3 games there. Then I got them losing the rest of the games throughout the season. So that schedule overall is tough, man. But we're gonna see how they do. Devin, what you think about it overall? Like, what you think about their roster and their title hopes and everything with Russ? Let Russ cook. What do you think about that, man?
So Seahawks are a wild card to me because I have them finishing third, but with an identical record to Arizona. I think Arizona would win the tiebreaker, like that they'll play each other like late in the season and they win the second game or something like that. But their defense got too many question marks for me. Even now, like I mean, Jamal Adams is a great talent, but like you said, I don't know if he knows whether he wants to be a safety or a linebacker. And his strengths are more in the box anyway. And you do have a hole at linebacker because KJ Wright ain't there no more, and they haven't re-signed him yet. That secondary ain't the Legion of Boom. This ain't the Legion of Boom no more. So I mean, there's some question marks there. Um, that front four is a mess. Like I don't know who their pass rushers are. The best one last year was probably Carlos Dunlap, and they had to sign him off the street. And I don't even know if I can't remember if they brought him back or not. But like, yeah, so they don't have no pass rush to speak of. I mean, besides Jamal Adams, like when your safety has 10 sacks, like that's kind of a problem. As a unit. And then Jamal Adams himself, now you hearing that he got like all the talk about Russ, that let Adams go under the radar. He's got some contract issues and some things going on with him, so we don't know what's up with him. And it's just too many question marks on the defensive end. The offense is a tad bit one dimensional for me. Like, I mean, their running game is good, but it's not great. Like Chris Carson is 1,000-yard rusher, but like I feel like that offensive line is just too inconsistent at times, and Russ is on his back way too much for my liking. DK is great, and I think he needs to take that next step. Next year there's some things that he needs to work on. He makes some inopportune drops and some bonehead plays every now and then that I think he needs to clean up. But him and Tyler Lockett together, that's a ridiculous duo, and I think that they could be very scary for years to come. And yeah, that's where we lead to Russ. And then you like you said, he was like, oh, there were talks like he was feeling kind of lukewarm, and then they pressed him, and he's like, unlike Watson and Aaron Rodgers, who were like, oh, I said what I said. Russ was kind of like, well, kind of whatever. So we don't know what that is. I think Pete Carroll, we're gonna have to start looking at him a little bit because I think he's for a couple of years, he's had this kind of free range locker room, like guys can speak their minds and do what they want. But people kind of turned the other way because they were winning. They were going to Super Bowls and they were just dominating people when they would play them. Now that armor ain't as shiny as it used to be. And granted, he's still a winning coach. He's still a winning head coach. He's one of him and Bill Belichick are like the 2 oldest coaches in football right now. And even though he signed a contract through 2025, from what I read up, I feel like I wouldn't be shocked either if he were to just suddenly step down. Like if they don't make the playoffs this year, or if they get another early exit, I can see him being let go even after a contract extension because you see that happen in the NFL before. I could see that happening. I mean, it's a lot of things I could see could happen to him as a head coach, even though I don't think it will, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did. You know, but I do think they finished third. I think they missed the playoffs because of how tough that division is, and some question marks will continue in the next year about Russ, about Carroll, Adams. It's a lot going on with Seattle. I feel like it's crumbling a little bit, not too much, but a little bit.
In your opinion, do you think Russ is a top 5 quarterback?
Yes. Yep.
Who would you put in your top 5? Like you got Aaron, you got Patrick, you got Brady in your top 5 still or no?
So my top five: Pat is number one, A Rod is number two. Um, I Russ is three for me. Watson is four, and I think Tom would be five.
Okay, you got time to 5. Okay,
That's my top five. Yeah.
no Lamar.
The only yeah, Lamar was six. I think Lamar would be six.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we pretty much got them around the same. So we're gonna move into this last team, and this last team, everybody knows, it's gonna be the Rams. This is my sneaky, very sneaky Super Bowl pick. I think Rams on the cusp. I think they may finish with the second best record in the NFL. So yeah, I got the Rams, man. They're my very sneaky pick as my Super Bowl, my dark horse for the Super Bowl pick. I got them finishing second in the whole NFC conference, man. Um, Only team I got above them right now is the Bucks. So we're gonna see how that goes. Um, but yeah, right now I only have the Bucks ahead of them, and they have a very talented roster overall, in my opinion. Pro Football Focus has them ranked with a top 10 roster. They have them at number 7. So they bought in Matthew Stafford. They got rid of Jared Goff. They bought in Matthew Stafford. They still have Aaron Donald, who's the best overall defensive player, in my opinion. Some may say he's the best overall player in the NFL as far as talent wise. And they have the best cornerback as well in Jalen Ramsey, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be, it's definitely going to be interesting for them to see what they can do. The biggest question mark is going to be running back. So losing Cam Akers for the season, that sucked. They already lost Brown last season. He left in free agency. So they really honestly don't have a true number one. I mean, they drafted Cam to be that number one guy. He kind of did decent his freshman year, his rookie year. And Brown did really good for them. But now they're kind of going into in kind of limbo without no true number one running back. So we're going to see how it goes. But overall, I just think they have the most dominating defense in the the second most, because I think the Bucks defense is a bit more dominating, but they have the second most dominating defense in the NFC East, in the NFC. I'm sorry, and that's just why I have them. The schedule's not that tough. They open up and get Chicago. They go to the Colts. They play the Bucks on week 3. I actually have them beating the Bucks. And outside of that, their schedule's not that bad, man, overall. So what's your opinions on the Los Angeles Rams?
I think that, with all due respect to Cam Akers, they don't really miss a beat without him. Hope he recovers, hope he gets better, and he's going to be a big part of their season going forward. But I think they really haven't, like, I think they've been going running back by committee pretty much since they let go of Ty Gurley. Like, this has kind of been a thing for them because he wasn't like command. They had this dude Henderson from Memphis last year who was doing his thing. Akers kind of became a household name when the playoffs started because of what he did against Seattle and what he did against a little bit of what he did against Green Bay. But like that team runs through their passing game and that defense. And that, at least that's what they've tried to turn into. And I think Matt Stafford is a guy who in Detroit was used to this. Like this is something he's been doing his whole career. And I think that it's something that he won't really have to adjust to too much, I don't think, because he's been a guy that's kind of had to engineer a lot of stuff in Detroit. And now he's got even more weapons to work with. You have all these dudes that they locked up with that drug money that they got in LA, with Cooper Cup, Woods, um, who else? They got
Yeah, Coop,
like, they
Woods. They
have, I
picked up
think they still,
Deshaun Jackson,
Deshaun Jackson, that's the other one. Um, I don't even know who their tight end is. I think it's
Tyler,
Jared. Is it Jared Cook?
Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, Jared Cook's in somewhere else. But yeah, and then obviously that defense is where they're gonna make their money. They were a top 5 defense or top 2 or 3 defense last year. They're only gonna get better because you got the best cornerback in Jalen Ramsey. You got probably the best player in football in Aaron Donald. And he's not by himself on that D line anymore like he was in the past. Like you got guys around him, Brockers, um, some of but yeah, so I think they re-signed Leonard Floyd. He gave him 10 sacks. The only real hole they have might be at safety because John Johnson the third, shout out to PG County, he left and went to Cleveland. So you're wondering, and he was a guy last year who many people felt like could have been a Pro Bowl safety. I can't remember if he made the All Pro team or not, but losing him is going to be, they're going to feel that. But I feel like with that pass rush they have and with Jalen Ramsey on the left, that they're going to make up for that, I think. And you have guys in like Troy Hill, for example, who made some big plays for them last year. They got guys, Jordan Fuller made a lot of big plays from the rookie from Ohio State last year. So they got more than enough to make up for that loss. And same on offense. Like, losing Cam Akers, I don't think it's really going to hurt them as much as people think. Because Henderson, the guy, I think his name's Darrell Henderson or Darrell Henderson, he's more than can hold his own in Akers' absence. And they drafted Jake Funk, another Maryland guy. They drafted him out of Maryland. So you wonder if his role suddenly becomes something like you wonder what he'll do with more opportunities. And so it's just, I think the Rams are going to go 12-5. I think that's what I predicted them going. And I don't think that's going to change without Cam Akers because that defense is still just as strong. Like, that defense going to win them a few games by themselves.
Yeah, that defense is gonna be suffocating. And like you said, yeah, they got Jake Funk. He's actually gonna be a rookie, 7th-round rookie that's gonna have to step in that role. It's probably getting a lot of touches and go here have opportunities to go out there and play. And they still got Henderson, like you were saying. So we're gonna see how he does. But overall, I agree with you for the most part. In your opinion, do you think they're a dark horse Super Bowl team, or you think they it's no chance?
I don't think they're a dark horse. I think if they go to the Super Bowl, like everybody expects it, I think that's a team that should be looked at as a Super Bowl contender in the NFC.
Oh, so they're a real deal contender to you. They're not sneaking up on anybody.
No, this is Matt Stafford was that piece, I think, that's going to get him over the. Like, I've always kind of sort of more or less been a Matt Stafford fan. Now, at one point, I did think he was a little bit overrated just because but then I remembered, like, he's in Detroit and that organization just doesn't care about winning at all. So I want to see what he does in an organization that is really committed. I mean, this is a team that they don't have no first round picks for like the next 5 or 6 years or something. Like these dudes are putting all their chips in the middle of the table. Like, we are trying to win right now.
It's
Forget
crazy.
building for
I'm
the
glad you
future.
brought that up about them having their drug money as far as where they get all this money to pay all these people from. And it was funny because even some of the players that play for the Rams was like, "Dog, where are we getting all this money from? Like, we're literally paying everybody. Like, what is going on over here? Like, are we trafficking? Are we supplying? What are we doing? Because we have we're paying everybody money, so it's like because that's when Jalen was getting paid, Coop got paid, some more play they bought him on Leonard Floyd, they bought him in. It was like what the heck is going on?
Robert Woods.
So yeah, we definitely gonna see how they do. Do you, in your opinion, do you think Aaron Donald is the best football player overall in the NFL, or just best defensive player?
He is definitely top 2 football players overall. Like it's him and Pat Mahomes' world right now. Everybody else is living in it.
Yeah, true. And you still got Jalen as the best cornerback right now, or you feel like somebody's taking that spot from him?
Jalen is number 1 right now, but it's some guys behind him like Tre'Davious White, like Stephon Gilmore, even though he's fallen way off. Xavier Howard is up there. But Jalen Ramsey has consistently been the best since the day he's walked in the league. So I can't take that away from him right now.
He a talker too. He go
and
talk.
He a talker. That's my thing. I like talkers. He's a big, lanky dude that talks.
Yeah. Yeah, when he recently did
second coming to Richard Sherman.
He recently did. Yeah, he recently did that interview with on an interview, and they asked, and they was just like, yeah, who's the easiest cover you ever had? And he instantly said AJ Green. AJ Green for sure. I always feel like he was overrated. AJ Green. I was just like, dang, he said that with no hesitancy. Then they was like, who's the toughest? He said D Hop. He said D Hop, and he even said Antonio Brown was one guy that he thought was all the hype was around him, but he said he felt like that wasn't a tough cover. But he always have that time when he go off into the offseason and just talk. Even that one year, he had that magazine interview, and he would just call him play. He called Josh Allen trash. He was just calling quarterbacks trash, and it was just like, what the hell? That's when he was still playing for the Jaguars. So he always been a talker since he came to the league. He was even getting into it with veterans his rookie season. Remember, he got into it with Steve Smith. So yeah, he always been a talker, and he always been that guy to just to not hold any bars, man, as far as conversation and having confidence in himself and just like letting it loose. So yeah, man, that's how I got it. Divine, we pretty much agree on most of it. We got one thing different as far as where they finish, but we both have 3 teams coming out the NFC West as far as making the playoffs. So we're gonna see how the season unfolds for them. So yeah, man, that's all 4 teams. Let me just run through it again. How I'm gonna say how I have finished it. I'm gonna say me. I have Rams finishing number 1, Seahawks number 2, Cardinals number 3. All 3 teams making the playoffs, and the 49ers the only ones that didn't. Vine has the same exact way. All 3 teams make the playoffs. He just has Rams number 1, Cardinals number 2, and Seahawks number 3. So with the playoff, the way it's set up now, everybody plays in the first round anyway, unless you're the number 1 seed. So, and I don't got the Rams being the number 1 seed, so they playing in the first round anyway. So,
actually,
you got to be the number 1.
I'm not okay. So they could be. I don't know if they will, because I think Green Bay still is Green Bay. Tampa Bay is the defending champs, but it's very hard to repeat, even for Tom Brady. But Rams got enough that I could see them being the number 1 seed. I don't know if they will, but I could see it.
Okay.
Or worst case scenario, they could be number 2 or number 3. Like they will be a top 4 seed.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely going to win the division, so they're going to at least get a home playoff game, at least for sure in the first round, and most likely, depending on how they finish, they'll get one in the second round. Now they make it,
but they got enough talent. I could see them being a top 2, maybe number 1. I can see it.
Yeah,
because like you said, the NFL is weird like that. Like you could get one year where you just strike lightning.
Yeah, true. So all right, y'all, we at the last segment of the day. This is going to be the House of Hot Takes, and y'all been here before. It's new to the House of Hot Takes, so pretty much how it goes. I'm gonna give you 5 questions, and you have to answer each question with the first answer that pops in your head. It's a quick response, so it's like rapid fire. So before we start, I'm gonna play that music. DJ, drop that beat. All right, here we go to my number 1 question. Should Jamal Adams move to linebacker?
Yes.
Yes. Why so?
Because there's a hole in linebacker anyway with KJ back on. He had 10 sacks as a box safety, so he's perfectly suited for the position. They could use the coverage help, considering that defense couldn't cover a table with a tablecloth. And yeah, it just seems like a good fit. That hybrid backer and a dime package thing, that's kind of his wave now. You see Isaiah Simmons in Arizona. You see Dejon Buchanan did it for a couple of years. Mark Barron did it for a few years before that.
Yeah.
It's just the thing now.
All right, second question. Do you think this would be the first year that Russ would get an MVP vote?
No.
Wow.
If it didn't happen last year, it ain't gonna happen this year. It's like I've lost hope for it.
There's no hope for Russ. In Russ we trust.
He would get a single vote.
Third question.
Third
question. Who is the best coach in the NFC West? You got Pete Carroll, you got Sean McVay, you got Kyle Shanahan, and I'm not sure how you feel about Cliff Kingsbury, but yeah, you got him too. So, who's the best coach in the NFC West?
Best coach right now is Sean McVay.
Sean McVay, okay. I was sure
we're talking full body of work is Pete Carroll, but Sean McVay is best.
As of right now, okay, cool. I like that. Fourth question. Now, I just want to see what you're gonna say about this one, knowing that Chase Young is your guy. Will Nick Bosa be the one to take the title as the best defensive player in the NFL from Aaron Donald?
No. Hell no.
Why not?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because Aaron Donald, like I said, that defense is ridiculous. Aaron Donald is just getting started. It's not like he hasn't had any injuries. He hasn't shown he's going to slow down. He's fresh off a Defensive Player of the Year. That defense is full of goons. You know, you don't have, like, it's not like you can double team. Well, you might, but it still won't work. Like, Donald is that dude.
So you think nobody?
Bosa needs like another year or two, and I don't even know if he'll do it.
Who you think will? I know I'm just giving you NFC West questions, but who you think would be that guy? Chase Young? Myles Garrett?
Myles Garrett, just because of fanfare.
Yeah.
Chase Young is still young, no pun intended. But like he still needs some time, I think. But Myles Garrett looking like he could be that guy that like, oh, he's gonna get that coordination.
Okay, cool. Last question out of the NFC West. Will Trey Lance be the best quarterback out this draft when we look back 10 years from now?
Yes.
You think so?
In this draft, yeah.
You think so? Not Trevor Lawrence, not Mac Jones, not Zach Wilson, nobody like that?
Actually, okay, I take that back. He will win the most games.
Okay.
Just because of where he is and the talent around him. Trevor Lawrence will have the most talent, but Jacksonville, I don't know. First of all, Lawrence, I think, is suffering from the fact that you have Urban Meyer as your coach, whereas Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt Trevor early in his career. I don't think Urban Meyer is going to we're going off to different divisions, but I don't think Urban Meyer is going to last in Jacksonville. So I think Trey Lance will be better, but it's going to be like a Peyton and Tom thing.
Okay. Makes sense.
Like, Lawrence is clearly more talented, but
Trey is winning.
Trey will probably win more games.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely see that. And it's like Patrick Mahomes is the weird combination of both. He's the most talented and he's in the best situation.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Cheat code. Well, yeah, man, that's going to be it for us. That was a nice little episode, man. Right around an hour. So I appreciate you coming on, man. Again, y'all, man, make sure y'all check out his book. I'm actually going to link it into this episode. So there's no reason for y'all not to be able to find it. I'm going to link it to this episode. Mm-hmm. Make sure y'all check out his podcast, Play by Play Podcast. Make sure y'all check him out. He on all streaming services. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find him, man. And give me your social media.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you follow me on Twitter at J Jackson. So that's 2 J's, AXYN. And if you have Instagram, it's just my first name, DEVON_JAVON. You know, so y'all, that's where I'm at.
That's what's up, man. He resigns in DC, y'all. He's a DMV child, I should say.
Yes, we are. Yeah, and if y'all read the book, y'all will understand why I'm such a big Chase Young fan. First of all, because he's from here.
Yeah.
We got
What?
a lot of football talent in this area that just doesn't get a lot of press because we're so spread out and we don't keep our talent at home. So a lot of people don't really know about us like that. But yeah, no.
Two hot questions. I know you're out of the hot take, but two quick questions. Best hooper out of the DMV all time and best rapper out of the DMV all time.
Okay, best hooper is clearly Kevin Durant.
Okay, I knew you were gonna say that. I just wanted to see where you would go. I didn't know if it was some kind of folklore story. I mean, some hooper that never made it.
So if we're going folklore, it'd be Len Bias, but obviously we know what happened to him.
Okay,
like for people who know the history, and he died before he could even get to the NBA. But people was talking about he was going to be better than Jordan, and stuff because that they went back. So if we're going folklore, it'd be Len Bias. But
overall, it's Kevin.
Just for the men, it's Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about. I hate to say it, but I don't know enough about the women's game to know who would be the best woman. Now best rapper. Dang. I'd have to go Wale.
Okay, I'm a fan of Wale though. Big fan.
Yeah,
big fan.
Like if we're talking strictly like Maryland, DC area.
Yeah.
But we've had some other ones. Like we had Shy Glizzy's been recently. He's gotten some love in recent years. We've had some other ones. And then,
I didn't know Shy Glizzy was from DMV. I did not know that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I did not. Crazy.
And then if you go to Virginia, they're not. DMV is a weird thing. Like if you it's certain parts of Maryland and Virginia that aren't part of it and stuff. Like it's a weird thing with us. So, but yeah, I personally would say Wale. I mean, there's some other people that might say something else, but I say Wale for rappers.
My favorite Wale work. I know it's not an album, but piece of work is 11-111. I feel like that's like the most slept on mixtape of all time. That's like a masterpiece, and people just don't understand how great that mixtape is. Like, oh my god, it's one of the best works ever. Like, I know when people talk about mixtape, they throw out like the Drought 3, Lil Wayne. They throw out Friday Night Lights from J. Cole. They throw out all kind of mixtapes, but 11-111 by Wale is literally.
Oh yeah, 11-111 Theory, man.
It's one of the best mixtapes of all time, bro. I'm telling you. It's
Varsity Blues is my song. I need that on streaming platforms.
We need it, Wale. If you're listening right now, we need it on streaming platforms right now. It's a trend to put your old work on streaming platform and drop it like it's new. Join the trend and get on that bag. We need it.
Mm-hmm. We need it.
We need it. But yeah, man, that's gonna be it for me. Devon, again, appreciate you for joining me, man. Y'all stay tuned for the rest of the episodes that's gonna cover the rest of the conferences and the divisions within the NFL. So man, we got a lot coming. I'm gonna have you back again because I got to cover divisions I want your takes on. So we gonna have you back as a recurring guest, y'all. Thank you again for joining. Thank y'all for listening. Always remember, like, follow, share, subscribe. Tell Granny about it. I know Granny, a couple people told me that Granny had told her about the last couple episodes. So y'all doing a good job. But continue to tell your grandma, your mother, your mama, your brother, everybody else, man. Thank y'all for listening and stay tuned for what's next.